Namaskar. Ended the musical offering with gratitude, and I express my heartfelt gratitude to all of you for being here in the serene and calm premises of the ashram. The chosen prayer today from the prayers and meditations, which is a collection of the mother's own yogic experiences, her realizations, her invocations. So the chosen prayer is the prayer written by the mother on March 25, 1914. March 25th, 1914, and titled by my limited mind as The God Touch. One line you heard, Har anu mein tum hi ho ma, meaning something that Sri Aurobindo has said, and we repeat it again and again. All can be done if the God touch is there. What makes us turn to the divine and what brings us closer to the divine is actually the divine himself. It's the God touch. We may call it by different names. We may call it by sparsh or the God touch, or we may call it as the divine intervention, but it is always there. And the God touch or the divine interventions are very natural. We think we have to really do something very big to invoke that. It is always there. The divine intervention, the God touch is always there. And it is happening all the time. But most of us, we are unconscious, we are unaware. In the last prayer, which the mother wrote on March 24th, 1914, she said, but in the face of an error or a blunder, the true thought to have is not to say that I should have done better, I should have done this, or I should have done that, but rather, I was not sufficiently identified with the eternal consciousness. And I must strive to realize better this definitive and integral union. So the mother, through these prayers, especially in March, while she's sailing towards Pondicherry, she has given us some very, you can say, very profound sutras of what to be, how to be, what to do in terms of turmoil. And here in this prayer, she's taking us one step forward. And she's actually giving us the key, rather showing us the key, while she's on the ship and with her fellow travelers. She shows us. In fact, she tells us through this prayer written on March 25th that she is the one. The divine is the one. And he is taking care of everything, each one of us. Not only that, while we human beings are spending each moment on this earth, the divine mother, the divine Lord, they are taking us forward. And when we turn away from them, and when we are unaware, and when we are unconscious, she is the one who is invoking the divine on our behalf. This prayer is a very, very profound prayer, a very deep prayer, a short one. But the mother is clearly maybe declaring that I am the one. She is the one. And something which is very synonymous to what Sri Krishna said in the Gita. Come to me. I will deliver you from all evil, from all turmoils. I am the one. Leave everything to me. Here in this prayer, mother is bringing this out. And she is invoking the divine on the behalf of her fellow travelers. And I think we all are included in that. The mother, she wrote this prayer while she was on the ship Kagamaru, sailing towards Pondicherry. And she is invoking the divine to awaken the light in her fellow travelers. Now, her fellow travelers are a bunch of people who are more or less unconscious, but yet they have a very special place in the mother's heart, and she's invoking the divine on their behalf. And because the invocation is from the Divine Mother, so there is a marvelous response. And the consciousness of the fellow travelers is wholly transformed. The light, the perception of the divine is now rooted in them. And not only that, when the consciousness awakens in anybody, whether it is her fellow traveler, whether it is you, me, or any being, then there is a delightful grace because it is the mother's power which is coming down. So there is this delightful grace which opens lots of doors for the mankind. And it is one awakening in one person has a domino effect for the entire mankind. And in this prayer, she is bringing out, rather talking about the awakening that is needed to bring or set the aspiration rolling, which is seated deep inside us. The spark is there, but it is unlit. We are not even aware of it. So she is trying to light that spark and set the aspirations rolling. They may be aware of it now, they may be aware of it in the coming days, and somewhere, because it is the mother's invocation, it is going to have a far-reaching effect on the entire humanity. And interestingly, once we reflect a little more deeply on this prayer, we will also see that there is something else other than our prayers, our invocations, our serious efforts, puja, part, mantra, whatever it is, Other than that, and the arduous path of tapasya, other than that, there is something which can activate the divine grace for all of us. And that is actually the company of realized souls. When we are in the company of realized souls, and when we station ourselves on the path which is led by true yogis, automatically we are able to overcome our limitations. An interesting story is of Bhola. Bhola was serving Adi Shankaracharya, and he was an illiterate person. But he was serving Adi Shankaracharya in a very devout way, very devoted way. And once, Adi Shankaracharya, to break the pride and vanity of one of his very erudite disciples, Padmapad, he asked Bhola to narrate some of the most difficult sutras of grammar which were prevalent at that time. And inspired, and Bhola, such was his devotion, because he never thought twice. Inspired poetry flew out of Bhola, and till today, those shloks and those sutras which came out of Bhola are considered as a masterpiece even today. We have all heard of the beautiful story of Shabri in Ramayana. So Shabri, in those days, born, low born, and on top of it, a woman. So she was forbidden, but she had a deep calling. She had a very deep seeking. And she would often observe she would often hide behind the bushes, and she would observe the rishis and the munis who would go from their ashram to the banks of the river to take a bath. And while they would be treading the path, they would be discussing, and she would see all their activities. She's hiding because she doesn't want to come in front. So, and once she noticed that the path which the rishis and the munis are, they are walking on it has a lot of kusha grass, which was sharp blades were there, and lots of thorny plants were growing there. So she very meticulously she cleaned the entire path, and she would do it every day. And once, while the rishis were going to the bank for the bath and all, so they realized that the mud beneath their feet is very soft and very cushiony, and it feels very good. And they realized, and then they said, "Who has made this mud soft? Who is reaping the benefits of our sadhana? Please come forward." When she came forward, they blessed her. And then she started staying in that ashram, Rishi Muni Matang, I think. It was Rishi Matang Muni's ashram. And and there she served the rishis and the munis, and the rest of the story we know. So Sri Ram came and she waited for Sri Ram while Matang Muni was leaving his own body. So Shabri was also quite old at that time, serving him. So she also wanted to leave with him. He says, "No, wait. Something very big is going to happen in your life. You wait." And she waited for Rama. So these stories, they just tell us that attaching ourselves to the realized souls, we can overcome our own limitations. The prayer now. March 25, 1914. Silent and unseen as always, but all powerful. Thy action has made itself felt, and in these souls that seem to be so closed, a perception of thy divine light is awake. I knew well that none could invoke thy presence in vain, and if in the sincerity of our hearts we commune with thee through no matter what organism, body, or human collectivity, this organism, in spite of its ignorance, finds its unconsciousness wholly transformed. But when, in one or several elements, there is the conscious transformation, when the flame that smolders under the ashes leaps out suddenly, illumining all the being, then with joy we salute thy sovereign action, testify once more to thy invincible puja, and can hope that a new possibility of true happiness has been added to the others in mankind. O Lord, an ardent thanksgiving mounts from me towards thee, expressing the gratitude of this sorrowing humanity which thou illuminest, transformest, and glorifiest, and givest to it the peace of knowledge. The starting lines of the prayer are very powerful. She says, silent and unseen as always, but all powerful, thy action has made itself felt, and in these souls that seemed so closed, a perception of thy divine light is awake. So, when the divine works, it is not necessary that there is going to be a pompous show or a huge declaration or the Akashvani or whatever it is, in a big way. The divine often works silent, is unseen. But Sri Aurobindo and the mother both have said that the divine is all powerful and nothing is impossible for the divine. So here, the mother is talking about the divine intervention that awakens the longing for that divine light. And the divine intervention can be very powerful. It is powerful, but it is always there. But is it a miracle made to order? The divine, often we find that the omnipotence and the omnipresence of the divine doesn't bring out, it doesn't make a showcase of it. And because there is and all at once, he doesn't do it for everybody. I mean, he is the divine, he can do everything for everybody all at once, but he doesn't do that. So there must be a very deep and profound reason for that. And the reason is the evolutionary process that each one of us has to undergo. Yet, sometimes there may be a small opening, and that is enough for that person. Sometimes the person may come across a single line of a poem or a book, or somebody said something, or may just enter the ashram premises, or may just go to the samadhi, and the enlightenment happens. And it happens to turn the entire life towards the divine. The entire life changes them. And many times it doesn't happen like that. Many times it is a slow process. We have to go through the challenges, we have to go through the arduous path, and we have to climb the rungs of consciousness, because the divine knows what is our speed. The divine knows what has been our past. The divine knows what is hidden inside us. Even we don't know that. So, yet whenever we invoke the divine, it is not that whenever we call out to the divine, and there is a sincere call, one must be very sure that its action is bound to happen. It is definitely going to bring down the divine intervention, not in a manner that you and I perceive, but in a manner which the divine perceives as the most appropriate one for us. Now, interestingly, I am reminded of the story of Pope John Paul II. He was shot at by a person in St. Peter's Square in Vatican. And one of the bullets passed through his abdomen, and one of the bullets which could have killed him, it just passed by nearby from his heart and went out. And so he said, and in his compassion, he talked of the person, he held no grudge against that. And he said that one hand pulled the trigger, another guided the bullet. So it is the divine hand which is working. It is the divine intervention. And one just has to have faith that it is there. And when one has faith and one moves like that, then even when the circumstances are very tough, even when the circumstances are very, you can say, miserable, one sees the divine hand in that. And one says, oh, you are there. So show me yourself. What are you hiding from me? So, and another incident here, it is, another example is Chacha ji, Surendranath Jauhar ji. Chacha ji, one glimpse of the mother, he saw her coming down the stairs and he saw that white light, and his whole life turned. He was finished. And what not he did after that, what not made him that pure instrument of the mother. Arjuna was very close to Shri Krishna, no? And sometimes when we read the Gita, it is very interesting. We always think, Arjun ke Shri Krishna ke liye Arjun, you know. But Shri Krishna is there with everybody. We all are little Arjunas for him, I think. And Shri Krishna could have just told Arjuna, no? He was his best friend, and he could have fought the battle, and he could have fought it for everybody, and the world would have still been a very good place. But why he did not let Arjuna, he could have just told Arjuna, Arjuna, you sit, piche baito, main dekh leta hu. You know, but he did not do that. He made Arjuna go through that turmoil, whatever, and he counseled him because Arjuna's evolutionary process was at stake. Arjuna's evolutionary role had to be given to him. So he made, and in the process, so many, and it is not only for Arjuna that Krishna unke sarthi bane, not only for Arjuna. I think here most of us, we should understand that he became the sarthi for everybody who was fighting that war. Everybody involved. Not only everybody involved then, but everybody involved who would come later on, so that the Raj, the Aryavrata could be established. So the divine intervenes in different ways. And for some it may be very fast, some it may be very slow. But for those who say that, oh, when is the divine intervention going to happen? Oh God, when are you going to come to me? God is already there. And it is also his Leela that you are going round and round. Because once you identify amidst all those troubles, amidst all those difficult situations, when you come out unscathed, you have gained a victory. You have been victorious over certain things that were pulling you down. And the Lord wants that. Because once you attain those victories, whatever was dark, whatever was deluding you, is finished forever from your life. This life, that life, past life, future life, So the person has a new birth. The parts of the being, they get transformed. And they get transformed so that that person could be now move towards becoming a better instrument of the divine. And the mother goes on to say, in the next line, she says, I knew well that none could invoke thy presence in vain. So, whenever we invoke the divine, it's never in vain. And if in the sincerity of our hearts we commune with thee, through no matter what organism, body, or human collectivity, this organism, in spite of its ignorance, finds its unconsciousness wholly transformed. सब कुछ बदल जाता है, हमको पता भी नहीं चलता. This is the grace of the divine. So every call is heard, every prayer is answered. A sincere call, a genuine offering, a true seeking can make the circumstances, make the conditions almost kind of redundant. Then it is only between you and the divine. And that circumstances will be there. No problem. You will ride through those circumstances because you know that the divine is there. And then the circumstances don't bother you. Then the circumstances are not between you and the divine. Then it is only you and the divine, and the connection, the circuit has been made very strongly. The mother, she said, not in the exact words that I'm saying, but what she said was that if I see a person even for fleeting seconds, I take full charge of that person. Such is her, this is her statement, that if I see somebody even for a fraction of seconds, मैं उसको अपना बना लेती हूँ. Then that person, I will take care of that person. And then many of us, we have come to the ashram, or we may visit the samadhi. I know of cases also where the person has gone to Pondicherry, he has not even he has not even reached the samadhi, and something happened. He is yet to reach the samadhi. I know of people who have been almost near to the samadhi, but they came back. They did not go till the samadhi, but something made them go back to it, and again, and in a very transformed manner. So there are lots of cases like that we hear. So every time there is a divine intervention, and there is a what the prayer also tells us is that every time there is a divine intervention and the God touches, the person has felt the God touch, the person has got transformed. Even one transformation, single transformation, has a very far-reaching effect for the entire. There's a new light which dawns then. And this is the mother's working. People can't understand how the divine intervention is working or the God touch is there. We often mistake it. We go to the doctor and we get cured, and then we say, Doctor Sahab, aapki kripa se sab ho gaya. We thank the doctor, but the doctor is just an instrument. And reminded of a joke actually. Many times somebody would say, oh, congratulations, you have a new baby in the family and all. Ye to sab aapki kripa se hua hai. So it is the grace, it is the divine grace. And we are ready to give the credit to others without realizing that it is the hand of the divine which is working behind everything. So the gratitude has to be towards the divine, and which the mother is showing us the way. Now Garuda, the story of Garuda in Ramayana, he was very instrumental in breaking the Nagpash. उनको राम और लक्ष्मण को बांध दिया था ना Nagpash से. So Garuda came and he pulled it out. He broke that Nagpash, and all the Vanar Sena, they said Jai Shri Ram, and poor Garuda could not understand why Jai Shri Ram. मैंने तोड़ा है, मैंने काटा है. So, and he was saying, you human beings are, your things make no sense. So he flew very disenchanted, and when he reached, I think he went to Kailasha, and Shiva also told him that you are a deluded person. Even Hanuman told him, your role was only this much. So you should be thankful that you are the instrument of the divine. And finally, very disenchanted, Shiva tells him, you go back to Vaikuntha from where you have come. You go and rest there. So he goes to Vaikuntha, and what does he find? That the place of Vishnu is empty. Then he realizes, wo to niche hai. He has taken the avatar, he is in the avatar form. So he is helping the mankind there. Then he is enlightened, and he is at peace. The story of Jagai and Madhai, I think Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were drunkards and they would bully everybody. So once they insulted his disciple, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's disciple, very devoted disciple and a Krishna Bhakt. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he took the form, there was some anger which was displayed by him, and in the form of Sudarshan Chakradhari Krishna. And then the disciple said ki please forgive them and all and all. And then he said that because you have given them darshan, how is it that they will not be transformed? So the disciple tells, and then Chaitanya, he calms down, and Jagai and Madhai, they are transformed, and then they become devotees. So the divine works in so many ways, different ways. And it is not so that, because we are coming to the ashram, because we are going to the temples, because we are praying and all, so all favors from the divine should be ours. For the divine, everyone is very dear. The divine is working for all, each and every one. So one should not just be gloated because we are praying, we are invoking the divine, divine hamare, divine sabke hain. Shri Krishna is for everybody. Everybody is an Arjuna for Krishna. The mother goes on to say, but when in one or several elements there is conscious transformation, when the flame that smolders under the ashes, means the flame which is suppressed, it is there but it is not come out, the ashes leaps out suddenly, illumining all the being, then with joy we salute thy sovereign action, testify once more to thy invincible puja, and can hope that a new possibility of true happiness has been added to the others in mankind. So most of the time the divine is working very silently, we are not even aware, and we don't even thank him. And sometimes when all of a sudden the spark is illumined and there is something which happens in almost a miraculous way, we start thanking, and then we proclaim the sovereignty of the divine Lord, and then it is very conspicuous for us. So the divine also plays the bait game. Sometimes he will grant us all our wishes so that we realize that there is a divine. So he also plays the bait game. When he thinks that you are getting very waylaid and all, out will come some circumstance or some miracle which will happen, which will put you back on the path. But yet there are devotees, there are people, there are disciples. There are many people who have, I've said it earlier also, they have never heard of Sri Aurobindo and the mother, yet they are doing their yoga. So it's not that because we call the mother Sri Aurobindo, we study about him, we read his books, that he's working for the entire mankind. It's working for the new creation that is just round the corner. It is for everybody. The grace is for everybody. And it comes down in different ways for different people. And people acknowledge it, people see it differently. Most of the time we are blinded. We don't even realize that there is a grace. Subah se shaam ho jati hai. Morning we leave for the office, at night we are fine. We are all safe and sound in our homes. That is a greater miracle than one strange miracle happening in our life, granting us one of our wishes. So the whole day is a sort of a miracle. And we hardly say thank you. We hardly feel gratitude. We hardly express it. The mother is actually talking, when she's talking of illumining the spark that lay beneath the ashes, she's talking of a true initiation. Now, when something like stark like this happens, the entire life changes. There is a total turning of everything towards the divine. And then there is a domino effect. It keeps on happening. It keeps on happening. You may forget the divine time and again. You may forget the divine presence. But time and again it will be brought back to you. And initially the periods will be longer. The gaps will be longer. But as you proceed further, the gaps will become shorter and shorter. And you will start seeing the divine hand behind everything in life. Even the things which are not happening to you, you will see the divine hand. Even the things which are happening to you, around you, above you, everywhere you will start seeing the divine presence. So, another story, maybe, Angulimal ki kahani suni hai na, Gautam Buddha, how Angulimal got transformed. Now, he was a dacoit, and he took pride in, whomsoever he looted, he would chop off one of their fingers and put it in a garland around. So 999 ho gaye the. And 1000 he wanted to complete, and he comes across Lord Buddha, Gautam Buddha. And he wants to attack him and wants to loot him. And because of Buddha's compassion and his calmness and serenity and his presence, nothing happens to him. He's not even scared. So he asks, are you not scared that I'm going to chop off your finger? And Buddha just keeps on smiling. And that calms him down. And he falls, the transformation, that change happens in him when he meets Buddha. Now the story doesn't end over here. See how the domino effect is going to happen. So he becomes a bhikshu, and he starts staying with Gautam Buddha in the ashram, and then he starts going around as a bhikshu, asking for alms. And the villagers whom he had looted, all the people who had looted, who were terrified of him now, they see him as a bhikshu and they are not ready to accept him as a bhikshu. And finally, he is unperturbed. People throw stones at him, people hurt him, they call him names. Such is the grace now that is with him. He is totally unperturbed. And when somebody asks him, are you not disturbed? He says, no, because I have harmed them in the past and they are just giving vent to it. And the divine is guiding them also. For them it is necessary. But I have found my calling. And he keeps on helping the poor people. He keeps on helping. And one fine day, he does something big also for somebody. He helps a woman deliver a child. And then the villagers, they start accepting him as a true bhikshu. And then they start coming to him also. So there is a domino. One person changes the entire village. And not only the people or not only the village, but those people who thought ill of him. And the person who thought ill of him is totally who thought only of dacoity and looting. He has changed within. And in the process of his change, he has been also able to affect a whole mass of people, who did not have any good words for him, but how things change. So for the one who is turned to the divine and who has realized and who has seen the grace act in his life, who is turned to the divine, they say, kabhi kabhi galat gaadi bhi sahi station par pahuncha deti hai. But for the one who is turned to the mother, Sri Aurobindo, the divine, वो किसी भी गाड़ी पे चढ़ जाए, चाहे गलत सही, वो सही स्टेशन पर ही जाएगी. That person will reach his true station, his true abode. So these are some of the cases. And there are some cases where the people have been, they've fallen into mental traps. They've gone till Pondicherry, balcony darshan. They come to know that, the mother will not come for balcony darshan, she has a slight cold. And the person, how can the divine have cold? Not divine. So these are all very, mental constructs. The divine should always be hale and hearty. The mother has taken the human form because the surface consciousness, she is trying for the physical at the physical level she is working. So she has to take. So the divine can't have a cold and cough. So, and he goes back and he missed. Darwaze tak aake, unke dwar tak aake, he could not take the darshan. So these are mental traps. And there are people who just landed. Margaret Wilson, Woodrow Wilson's daughter. She was given the name Nishtha by Sri Aurobindo. So she comes for a darshan and Sri Aurobindo meets with an accident and he is not able to come for the darshan. She stays on. And she never leaves the ashram after that. And because of her kidney problems, a whole fleet comes to take her back to US because she can get treated well there. But she says, you will take care of my body. But what about my soul? And she refuses to go back. And she stays with the mother. So they say heaven's call is rarer the heart that heeds. But the divine grace is there for everybody. Even for the heart that does not heed, the divine grace is there. She says, now she has invoked the divine for her fellow travelers, and she has seen the response. She has seen that the seed of perception of the divine has been sown in them. So now she is thanking the divine. O Lord, an ardent thanksgiving mounts from me towards thee, expressing the gratitude of this sorrowing humanity which thou illuminest, transformest, and glorifiest, and givest to it the peace of knowledge. So, throughout her life, this is just one incident, but throughout her life, the mother has always been the mediatrix between the earth and its beings and the Supreme Lord. In whichever life, whichever birth she has taken, she has always been doing that, and she still is doing that. And it is another matter that the full advantage of that was not taken. And we are still, because of our mental traps, because of our egos, we are still not taking full advantage of that. It's a different matter altogether. But so on that day, on behalf of all her fellow travelers, the mother is thanking the divine. And because the invocation came from the mother, the gratitude was expressed from the mother. So new possibility did there was a new possibility that was left behind for mankind that day. And while she was in Pondicherry for so many years, she worked on this new possibility throughout. She's been a mediatrix for, and she's been that. She's the golden bridge, the golden fire, the wonderful. Those lines from Savitri. She's the golden fire, the wonderful bridge, or the golden bridge, the wonderful fire. So, and the least we can do, at least we can just bow down and say thank you to her every day, because we are able to call her. We are able to, physically हमने नहीं देखा, but somebody staying at Pondicherry ashram, he said something very profound. He said that those people who were there while the mother was there, they saw her, they lived with her, she laughed with them, she played with them. But somebody from the ashram only remarked that the people who came after, who never saw in the mother in the physical form, they are far more blessed and they are far more under the action of the mother, because without seeing her in the physical form, they feel her presence, they know her presence, they call her Ma. I would like to read something which the mother has talked of her own nearness to all of us. And this is the God touch. She is herself telling us this. I am always seated in your heart, consciously living in you. Open your heart and you will find me already there. Don't be restless. Remain quietly concentrated in your heart and you will find me there. These are the words coming directly from the divine. Go deep inside the temple and you will find me there. So she has made a temple in all of us. And she's not saying that, oh, you have done this, I will not come to you, you need to be punished. She never says. Her compassion is tremendous. Her love is immense. In fact, we are there because of her love. All souls who aspire are always under my direct care. Under my direct care. I am always present, near you, in you, and my blessings come with me. Be sure that I am always present among you to guide and help you in your work and your sadhana. Keep always this awareness of my constant loving presence, and all will be all right. Let us read the prayer once more. I think we can. March 25, 1914. silent and unseen as always, but all powerful. Thy action has made itself felt, and in these souls that seem to be so closed, a perception of thy divine light is awake. I knew well that none could invoke thy presence in vain, and if, in the sincerity of our hearts, we commune with thee through no matter what organism, body, or human collectivity, this organism, in spite of its ignorance, finds its unconsciousness wholly transformed. But when, in one or several elements, there is the conscious transformation, when the flame that smolders under the ashes leaps out suddenly, illumining all the being, then with joy we salute thy sovereign action, testify once more to thy invincible puissance, and can hope that a new possibility of true happiness has been added to the others in mankind. O Lord, an ardent thanksgiving mounts from me towards thee, expressing the gratitude of this sorrowing humanity which thou illuminest, transformest, and glorifiest, and givest to it the peace of knowledge.